In Flers-Courcelette, during the Battle of the Somme, on September 15, 1916, the first tank was deployed on the battlefield, marking the beginning of the age of mechanized warfare. Although advancements was made early on, the tank's full usefulness as a weapon was not realized until the interwar years, and by the start of World War II, the tank had become a significantly more efficient and lethal weapon. The German Panzer tanks, the Soviet T-34, which performed very well at the Battle of Kursk, and the American M4 Sherman were all notable tanks at the period. Though the British and the Americans had better tanks overall, the German Tiger consistently ranked among the best. For what reason was this the case, and do they merit their legendary status? 1. The first Tiger tank prototype was scheduled to be ready for Hitler's birthday on April 20, 1942. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union on June 22, 1941, they were met with Soviet T-34 medium tanks and KV-1 heavy tanks, which were much superior than anything they had. German tank orders therefore required a weight increase to 45 tons and an increase in gun caliber to 88 mm in order to compete. The Henschel and Porsche firms both sent drawings to Hitler to review at his Rasenburg headquarters. Instead of the sloping armor seen on the Panther tank, flat armor was used in these designs. The experiments showed that the Henschel design was superior and easier to mass build than the Porsche VK4501 prototype design, in large part because the Porsche design required a lot of copper, a crucial war commodity that was in short supply. In July of 1942, production of the Tiger I began, and by September of that year, it had seen action against the Red Army in the town of Mga, approximately 43 miles southeast of Leningrad, and the Allies in Tunisia. 2. Porsche was responsible for the name Tiger. Despite Henschel's design being chosen, Ferdinand Porsche did give the tank its nickname, Tiger, with the Roman numeral added after the Tiger II entered production. 3. 1,837 Tiger I and Tiger II tanks were built in total. Since the Tiger was still a prototype when it was rushed into service, it underwent numerous modifications throughout its manufacturing life, including a revised turret with a lower cupola. It took nearly twice as long to produce a Tiger I than other German tanks because of the poor manufacturing rates at the factories, which meant that incorporating these upgrades may take several months. With raw materials in short supply, the design was streamlined to facilitate production. In a total of about 14 days, the Tiger was assembled at Henschel's factory in Kassel from parts manufactured by a vast network of companies and carried there via train. From July 1942 to August 1944, the Tiger was manufactured by hundreds of thousands. After producing only 1,347 Tiger Is, Henschel went on to produce 490 Tiger IIs until the war's end. The Tiger's exceptional performance in battle meant that its limited production run was well worth it, unlike the fate of most other military vehicles. 4. It had a highly unorthodox manual to encourage soldiers to actually read it. The young tank commanders didn't care much to study the detailed instructions and diagrams. Knowing these commanders would be operating their most essential and expensive piece of hardware, Panzer General Heinz Guderian permitted engineers to infuse the Tiger's manual, the Tigerfibel, with comedy and a fun tone, as well as provocative photographs of scantily clad women to hold soldiers' interest. There were black and red ink pictures, cartoons, and simple technical schematics on every page. Because of the Tigerfibel's popularity, several other unconventional guides have attempted to imitate its format. 5. Nearly everything about the Tiger was over-engineered. The Tiger's 88mm mobile main gun was so powerful that its shells regularly penetrated and emerged out the other side of opposing tanks. It had so robust armor that its crew, often 5 people, could safely park in front of an opposing anti-tank gun. The Tiger II was the biggest tank used during World War II, weighing 57 tons, and its engine was so strong that it could keep pace with tanks less than half its weight, at 40 km per hour. When trying to traverse bridges, this weight became an issue. Early Tigers were supplied with a snorkel allowing them to cross rivers up to a 13 feet depth, though this was later abandoned, decreasing the depth to 4 feet. 6. It was nearly impervious to Allied guns. The Tiger's armor was 102 mm thick at the front. Such was its robustness that British crews would watch shells fired from their own Churchill tanks just bounce off the Tiger. 8 rounds from a 75mm broad artillery piece reportedly ricocheted off the side of a Tiger from a distance of only 150 feet during an early battle with the Allies in Tunisia. At 1,000 meters, a shot from a Tiger's 88mm cannon could breach 100mm of armor. 7. It had an aura of invincibility. One of the most dreaded weapons of World War II was the Tiger. In addition to its near-impervious armor, it could also destroy an enemy tank from almost a mile away, and on the right terrain, was incredibly effective, leading the Allies to expend considerable time to following their movements. Only the German military knew the Tiger's inner workings, and on Hitler's instructions, disabled Tiger tanks had to be destroyed on the spot to prevent the Allies from learning anything about them. While it had a fearsome reputation, the Tiger's primary strength lay in its defense. It mostly supported medium tanks by eliminating enemy tanks at long range to generate breakthroughs on the battlefield, while largely disregarding blows from smaller Allied anti-tank weapons. While the Tiger certainly has the potential to strike fear into the hearts of enemy soldiers, this trait may be overdone a little. Many reports of Allied tanks refusing to engage Tigers reflect alternative tactics more than a fear of the Tiger. To the Allies, engaging tanks in gun engagements was the artillery's mission. If a Sherman tank crew detected a Tiger, they radioed the position to the artillery, then departed the area. 8. It was prone to mechanical issues. The Tiger was designed for optimal effectiveness in combat, but it was difficult and expensive for mechanics to maintain due to its complicated design and lack of consideration for fixing individual components. Many Tigers failed and had to be abandoned because of issues such as broken tracks, overheating engines, and damaged gearboxes. There were many crews that just had 2 weeks to train on the Tiger before they were thrown into battle. Some drivers got stranded because they weren't acclimated to the Tiger's quirks on difficult terrain, and the Tiger was especially sensitive to immobilization when mud, snow, or ice formed between its interleaved Schachtelhoffwerk pattern road wheels. This was especially troublesome in the bitter Eastern Front winter. As a result of its excessive fuel consumption, the Tiger's range was also severely restricted. It's possible that you'll need 150 gallons of gas for a 60-mile trip. It was difficult to keep the fuel flowing without it being interrupted by the resistance. 9. It was very expensive to manufacture, both in terms of money and resources. It took almost 250,000 marks to produce one Tiger. Germany's wealth and supplies dwindled as the conflict continued on. German war production had to be optimized, so instead of focusing on making just one Tiger, they produced many more tanks and cheaper tank destroyers. The steel used to make just one Tiger was enough to produce 21 105mm howitzers. The Allies had time to produce superior tanks than the Tiger, and they did so with the Joseph Stalin II and the American M26 Pershing. 10. Only 7 Tiger tanks still survive in museums and private collections. By the year 2020, Tiger 131 was the last operational Tiger I tank in the world. The Tank Museum in Bovington, Dorset, expertly restored it to working order after it was taken on April 24, 1943, during the North Africa campaign. The Tiger 131 was borrowed by the filmmakers of Fury, 2014, starring Brad Pitt, for use in the film.